Well, my name is Melanie, and I hope this reaches who it's supposed to reach. Just like lots of other people, I work hard for what I have. And, I've always had used vehicles. Since I first got my license when I was 18. And, last February of 2025, I decided, since I only had one kid left at home, I was going to trade in my vehicle. I had a minivan. Just assumed, hey, I don't need a minivan anymore, right? So, I go trade in my car. And to my surprise, I actually got a brand new car. Never in my life have I ever owned one. Never thought I ever would. And, of course, I was excited. It's my first brand new ever car. I got at least, one would think, at least 90,000 or so before something would go up with it, right? Well, I get this brand new 2024 Dodge Hornet. I know they made them 40 years ago. I had no idea that they brought them back. And I didn't know anything about the vehicles or anything that they had recently made. I know they stopped production recently, and which was, I think, back in February or March, I think it was mentioned. Well, I get this 2024 Dodge Hornet. After a month or two, it starts doing this weird thing on the display screen, and which a lot of these newer cars have them, right? And it would either go completely black and make this horribly loud sound. I can't even tell you what it sounded like. It was really weird. And no matter what you do, you cannot shut it off. Even if you shut the car off, it still does it. So, I say something and find out there's a recall. And they told me I needed an update. Whatever. So, when I brought it in for the first oil change, and we scheduled it for the next one, and the second oil change was in September? Yeah, September. And they did the oil change and this update. And for 4 days, 5 days, something like that, no issues. Figured the problem was fixed, right? Well, October rolls around, and I'm having issues again, except this time, the key fob stopped working. Like, altogether. Like, you cannot do nothing with a key fob. And I went in, to let them know, and thought maybe they could hook it up, read, see if there's a code or something, right? So they do that, and dude tells me it's a cluster code, and I was like,
new text message.
I was like, what is that? I've never heard of a cluster code. And he said it was a code they've never seen before. And again, this is still weird to me because this is the garage, the mechanics, right? So he said, let's schedule you to bring it in. We'll get somebody to come out, whatever. Well, it was booked out till November 6th. So I wait. And I came home one day after running errands. It was a Friday. And I roll up, and my twin sister's outside. She lives next door to me. And she comes up to the car, and we're chatting, whatever. And I was like, hang on, I'll just get out for a minute. Because I was fixing I only came back for a few before I went and picked up my daughter from school. And I was just sitting there, and I went to grab my belt to undo it or whatever, and the car, like, all these weird lights were just randomly everything. The dashboard, the display screen thing, like, all these just, even the lights that light up for your, like, AC or, your defrost and all that, right? Everything was just going crazy, right? So I told my sister, it's like, dude, the key fob don't work. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, it stopped working. Like, it doesn't work. I have it scheduled. She's pulling on the doors. She's trying the key fob, even though I told her it doesn't work. And then I remembered I have the Dodge app. So I pulled it up, did all my thing to get into it, whatever, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm pushing to unlock this car. And I'm clearing it off my phone, going back into it. I did this for however long. And in the meantime, my twin is still trying to open the door, and even the inside buttons wouldn't work. So, and it didn't matter if you pulled the handle, because you know how some cars it like locks, and then you pull the handle and it automatically unlocks. Would not work. I did everything possible. So I'm sitting here and I'm doing this thing on this app over and over and over and over. Finally, I get it to unlock. So, even though I was worried about it doing it again, I go pick up my daughter, whatever. The following week, the next morning, I had called them, the garage there, and told them that all these lights were going crazy and that it locked me inside the car. He was like, what? And I go, yeah, it locked me in, bro. Like, and I said, it took me forever, and I was using the app because obviously the fobs don't work. And I said, it didn't matter what you were doing. Like, you couldn't open the door from the inside, nothing. It was just locked. And I told him, I was like, maybe you could put it in the system, in my file, whatever, so when I bring it in, they're aware of this other problem. And he said, yeah, well, following week rolls around, and we're headed to church, and my daughter, who was 9 then, she was just a few feet in front of me, and I said, go ahead and just head to the car, let's go. So we're walking to the car, and she gets in. I see her get in, shuts the door, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe 6 feet from the car, if that. And I heard it lock. And I was like, oh, great. And I walked, to the side of the driver door, and I looked right at my daughter. And the look on her little face, man, was just... It was scary. Even though it was the beginning of October, it was still warm out, And my first initial thought, and I think it was just... It's a thought that a parent... It's a worst fear kind of thing, And I thought, man, what if she came out by herself to just grab something that she could have forgotten, you know what I mean? While I was in the house. And me thinking she's, playing in the yard, whatever, so I don't pay no mind. And say a couple hours go by. And then it's like, okay, where's my kid? She's not outside. She's not playing with the cousins, that live on both sides of us, whatever. So, the thought of walking out, if this would have happened this way, and finding my 9-year-old's body in the backseat of my car because she died from being too hot. Like, I want to cry thinking about it. There's so many deaths anymore every year, and it's like it's more and more every summer about babies and toddlers and just children in general. And the thought that possibility could have happened to my daughter. So again, the next day on a Saturday, I called and I took this guy out and I said, bro, I was like, the car literally locked my 9-year-old in it. I was like, what if I couldn't get her out? It took me over 25 minutes. Knowing I can't open the door, I'm trying to force the door open. And I'm, doing the app thing over and over and over, and it took over 25 minutes. And I finally got the stupid thing to unlock. So anyway, I'm sorry. The thought of this whole thing it totally messes me up. Anyway, November 6th rolls around. I drop the vehicle off and pick up a loaner. Which, never heard of a car lot charging a loaner fee. Whatever, I prepared myself for it because they told me. Even though I think it was stupid that I had to pay it. But I get the loaner. He said, I'll be in touch. Okay. Wasn't in touch. So, the last Friday of November, I decided to just show up over there, find out what's going on, right? Nobody's called me, nobody's emailed me, nobody's sent me messages, like nothing. So I show up there, I just walked in and was like, what's going on? And he said that they were waiting on another part, and I said, what do you mean another part? And he said they'd replaced the brain box twice, and they get all these parts put on or whatever, and then they redo the thing again, and there's another part, or it's these parts, or it's this part, these parts, that part, you know what I mean? And I was like, whatever, dude. And he said it was going to be done on Monday at noon. said, yeah, we'll see. So I go home. Monday rolls around. I worked later than normal. I get home, and I'm walking in the door, and he calls to tell me I can come get my car. So at this point, it's December 1st, right? It's a Monday. So I go back out the door, I head over there. So we're doing up the paperwork, right? And he asked if I wanted him to start the car so it could warm up. And I was like, yeah, please, you know. It wasn't starting. And at this point, I busted out laughing. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, bro. Like, and he goes, Melanie, it was working. I checked it all myself. Everything was working on this car. And I go, well, apparently not. You know what I mean? And he's trying and trying. He goes to the door, and he's trying and trying and trying and trying. He goes out to the car and starts it that way and got it started. Comes back in. We finish up the paperwork. And I asked him, I said, bro, like, what if I still have problems with this, you know? And he said, just give us a call back and we'll get it back in and we'll look at it. Okay. So, the next night, it's like 8 o'clock at night. I got home from a meeting. And the display screen went black. And I thought, you gotta be kidding me. Please don't start this up again. Because the vehicle had already been in there from November 6th to December 1st, right? That's a long time. So, I was hoping that maybe it was just a little glitch and it was done. It wasn't going to do it again. So I get up the next day for work. I get to work. I'm getting around to get out of the car. The display screen froze and made that horrible sound. God, it's so loud. And of course I'm sitting there in the seat going, you've got to be kidding me. So it went right back. 36 hours in my possession after supposed to be fixed, and it starts all over again. So, of course, I had to wait till they open. So I called the garage guy there at Lockmandy in Elkhart. And he answers the phone. And I said, hey, what's up? It's Melanie. And all I heard was, I said, yeah, this is a phone call you're dreading, huh? He goes, what's going on? I said, same stuff is happening. I said, last night it went black. This morning when I got to work, I said I went to get out of the car to go inside, and it did that stupid sound, and the thing froze, and just, it was loud. And he said that obviously I'd have to bring the vehicle back. And I said, okay. So I do. My mom went with me. Well, the guy that sold me the car happened to be there. I thought he knew that the car was there all this time. And he was like, no. He's like, I've been on vacation. I was like, oh, okay, So I told him what was going on, whatever. And I said, I literally picked the car up on Monday at 6 p.m. And then Wednesday at 6 a.m. it started more of the problem. The night before it did the black screen. At that Wednesday at 6 a.m. it did the frozen screen with that stupid loud sound. Well, thankfully, before we got there, my mom wanted to stop at a gas station to get a coffee. and it did that noise. And she just happened to be in here, so I recorded it. So when I got to the car lot, I could show them what I'm talking about, what it's doing. Because they never came across that part when they had the vehicle. So, anyway, I play it for him. And he goes, well, let's go back there and talk to him. Okay, let's go. Because I also told him, dude told me that over the years that he's been there, they've had to do buybacks or just put somebody in another vehicle, whichever. And he said, yeah. He said sometimes we come across that, And he said, but we just need to, see what he has to say first. And I was like, that's fine. I said, but he's going to agree with me. So anyway, we go back there. Dude sees me, flings his arms up in the air, and he goes, I'm not touching that car. He said, that car is possessed. It's got to go. Like, it's got a mind of its own. You need a different vehicle. And I looked at the guy that sold me the car, and I said, see, I told you. So anyway, we walked back up to the front, and I told him, I said, look, I said, at this point, just buy the stupid car back, bro. Like, this is ridiculous, So he takes me to whoever this old guy is. I think he's not the GM. I'm not sure, but he took me to his office. And he goes, well, there's steps we have to take. Okay, I get that. I totally get that. And he said, first we have to attempt to fix the vehicle. That's the first and foremost. I go, but you guys already did twice. And I just got it on Monday. And here we are again. And he goes, oh. So then he's sitting there, looking down at his desk. And I said, listen. So I pull my phone out. I play him the video. And he goes, whoa, And I said, just buy back the vehicle. Just give me my deposit back, or down payment, not deposit, my down payment, and what I paid for the vehicle, and just give me my money back. And he said that the GM wasn't there. He was in Knox that day. And he said it has to all go through him, and he said, like I said, there's steps we got to take. And I said, okay. Well, they said they'd put me in something else. They had no loaners, so they give me a brand new car to use off the lot. They don't charge me that loaner fee, even though it's considered a loaner for me. Which, I thought, well, it's probably because of the hassle, right? So anyway, I don't hear nothing. All this time, I didn't hear not one thing. December 23rd rolls around. We got a loaner back. We needed to bring the compass back, so we're not putting too many miles on the compass. And we'll get you in this loaner. Okay, whatever. So, even though it's December 23rd and it's 2 days before Christmas, I drive all the way over there to swap out the vehicle, and they give me the third loaner, which I'm in the garage doing the paperwork. Not one person says a word to me about the loaner fee or anything like that. So anyway, I do up the paperwork, I head home. As I'm getting out of the car, my phone goes off. So I'm looking. They charged me that loaner fee. And wiped out my bank account in the process. Mind you, it's 2 days before Christmas. I wasn't able to do anything for my daughter for Christmas this year. We had ramen for Christmas supper because I didn't have the money to get Christmas dinner. I instantly messaged the garage guy and the one that sold me the car. And he said, if you don't like it, bring it back, you can get your $100 back. Well, how am I supposed to get back and forth to work? How am I supposed to pick up my daughter from school? So, I thought, wow, what a jerk, you know? And then the next day, I'm at work. The garage guy messaged me and he said, I'm sorry, I thought you knew. And I said, no. I said, I get the other vehicle was off the lot. And I said, but I thought you didn't charge me the loaner fee because of the hassle. You know, like, and I said, and here we are. And I said, you guys wiped out my bank account, dude. It's 2 days before Christmas, man. Like, and I go, and besides that, I said, I never gave you permission to keep my debit card information on file. And I said, I don't ever give permission to keep my stuff on file. And I told him, I said, who gave you the right to do that? And I get silence. I never hear from this guy. So, I contacted the Attorney General's office, found the phone number to Stellantis, and even though these Hornets were made with cheaper parts and were made in Italy, you still have to contact Stellantis. Which, if anyone doesn't know what Stellantis is, it's Dodge. So, I contact all these people. Phone calls, emails, you name it. And the Attorney General sent me an email very next morning. And I made, the report with Stellantis, so I was waiting for someone to call me. I get the first caseworker. And however long goes by, nobody's listening to me. So, January, I think it was 14th. I think it was the 14th. I called, I can't remember the name of them. It's the Dispute Settlement Center or something like that. It's the place you call when you feel like you're being ignored or whatever the problem may be that's not getting taken care of with a car dealership. So she sets up this meeting, right, for February 23rd or 20th. I can't remember which one right now. I have all my ducks in a row and all this stuff. And we do this meeting. I spoke on my behalf, how long the vehicle's been there, the whole nine, right? Well, a spokesperson for Dodge, all she said was, we didn't breach the warranty. It's not what we were there for. This car has been sitting in the garage for over 190 days. It has been sitting at the car dealership for like 110 business days straight. And the Lemon Law 30th business day landed on January 15th of 2026. So in the state of Indiana, for the lemon law, it has to be towards a newer vehicle. Check. It's 2024. Has to be under 18,000 miles. Check. Had 8,500 miles. Had to be attempted to be fixed more than 4 times. Well, I think it says 3 to 4 times, which the first 2 was just back in November. And this is after they had to order more parts. They had to order another part. They had to order this piece. They had to order more parts. I got every stinking email. And they're all screenshotted too. Just saying. So anyway, the lady does her decision. And she misunderstood something because she said that the vehicle ran for 26 days. No. It was in the garage for 26 days back in November. But that was when it wasn't fixed. It wasn't fixed yet. So I don't know where she got mixed up at. I don't know if somebody told her some cockamamie BS story or whatever. And so here I am. And it's what? It is May 18th. This vehicle, the 2024 Dodge Hornet, has been sitting at the garage all this time since November 6th, just because I only had it for 36 hours before I had to return it. But it's been in the garage all this time. I'm on the 3rd caseworker who told me about 3 weeks ago that, it's going to be fixed by the end of the day tomorrow. And then I didn't hear nothing. And then the following week, it was, they had to order more parts. At this point, I want to just send emails back with just laughing emojis, you know what I mean? Because this is just ridiculous. I have stressed numerous times, it's legally a lemon in the state of Indiana. Legally. Since January 15th. It's May. And it's still unfixed. And I have proof of all the emails where it states they had to order more. They're working on it. They had to order more. They had to order more. They had to order more. Between 3 caseworkers since December 23rd. So, even though I've contacted all these people, and even though I have these caseworkers, I have been ignored. They don't care where I'm coming from. The stress over all this crap and the BS and just, this is the worst experience I ever experienced in my life that I never thought I would ever see. Especially owning a brand new car that only had 71 miles on it when I brought it home. 71. And this is the BS I had to deal with. And again, you're talking November 6th. So the month of November minus the 6 days. December, January, February, March, April, and here we are almost into June. 7 months in. And I'm still being ignored. I just want my down payment of $2,500 back. I want all the money I paid on the vehicle for my car payments back. That's all I want. I just want to move forward. My now 10-year-old, the one that got locked in the car, will not get in this vehicle ever. She told me there's no way she'll ever get back in. She doesn't trust it. I don't trust it. I've also told two of the caseworkers, or all 3 caseworkers, that I just want my money back. It's legally a lemon. since January 15th, it is legally a lemon in the state of Indiana. And to please just give me my deposit, down payment, whatever. Excuse me. To give me my down payment back and what I've spent on the vehicle back, and just let me move on. Like, it's junk. Obviously, I have emails to prove it. You just keep constantly telling me we had to order more parts. They had to order this. They had to order more parts. They had to order this. They had to order more parts. That's all I ever hear. That's all I ever hear anymore. Voicemails, emails, that's all I ever hear. You would think with such a big company as Dodge / Stellantis, like, you know, okay, Subaru. Those are nice vehicles, right? They care about their customers and who's going to be driving these vehicles, right? People drive their families, their most prized possession, their children in these cars. You are supposed to have faith and confidence and be able to trust the vehicle that you purchase, right? I can't do that. My daughter's afraid to get back in this vehicle. And I don't blame her. And it's just, you know, like I said early on, what if I wasn't there? You know, what if it was a different scenario and Lord forbid I found my baby dead in the back seat because it was too hot. And not one of these people give a crap. And it's just, I think it's unfair. I've contacted a news crew. Like, why? It's one vehicle. I mean, you're paying out more money trying to fix this thing when it's not obviously fixable, because here we are again, it's May 18th and it's still in the garage, still not fixed. Shame on them for treating someone like that. And I've heard horror stories, and I prayed so much hoping that that was not going to happen to me. I had all the proof, all this stuff, all these emails, everything, just, it's still in the garage, for goodness sakes. Like, how much more proof do you need? These people keep calling me and they had to order more parts. Oh, okay. You know, like, just give me my money back. This is just unreal that these people are treating me this way when it's clearly a lemon. You know? I used to be a really huge fan of Dodge. They had one of the best motor performances in their vehicles. At this point, they're more worried about their bank account than they are their customers. They don't care if you trust your vehicle. They don't care if you feel safe in the vehicle. Nothing. And I just can't believe that they don't care. That should be their top priority, is how their customers feel about their purchase of a vehicle. Because again, you're supposed to be able to trust. You're supposed to have this confidence. You're supposed to, whatever, like, you're supposed to have all these different things. And it's just not there. And I just keep getting the runaround. And I just want my money back. That's all I want. I just want my money back. I want reimbursed, like the first caseworker said, that they would give me some kind of reimbursement for the trouble of going through all this and la-da-da-da-da, and then all of a sudden, she just dropped off the planet, and then there's another caseworker which about 3 weeks ago just up and disappeared off the planet too. And now there's a third one who I have not heard from at all again. But anyway, I don't know. Someone help me. I don't know what to do anymore. I just want my money back. That's all. I just want to move on. I am so sick of this. I'm on blood pressure medication with all this hassle. Like my blood pressure was almost 200. It was way up there. And now I'm on blood pressure pills. Blood pressure pills. I can't even talk today. Excuse me. I never had to take those pills. Not to mention the antidepressants. This whole thing has been a hot mess. But I'll never buy a brand new vehicle ever again. This totally turned me off of ever buying and owning a new vehicle. Other than I know other people that got these brand new Dodge pickups that they're having nothing but electrical problems with them. Since they've traded their 22 in for their brand new one. But that's none of my business. It's not my vehicle. Mine's the 2024 Dodge Hornet that's been sitting in the garage, still unfixed, for 7 months. And I just want to move on. And I just want my money. Stellantis and Dodge needs to be fair about this. This has been an ongoing issue. It's went on for too long. It has. January 13th marked the 30th straight business day that it's been sitting at the lot, and now here we are, 110 so days, straight business days, that it's been sitting at the dealership in the garage. That, according to all these emails, they're still working on it. They're ordering this part, that part, these parts, and they're still fixing it, and they're working on getting it fixed, but it's still not fixed. And I just want my money back. I just want to get this off my shoulders and be done with it and move on in life. And I'm done, dude. I'm tired. Anyway, thank you for listening.